On Storyboard today, Maurice Levy outlines the year ahead, the big winners at Ogilvy's Envies, and Amitabh Bachchan on creativity. Hello and welcome to Storyboard. I'm Pavni Mittal. We're going to start things off with an interview with Publicis Group's chairman and CEO, Maurice Levy. Remember, 6 months ago, the Publicis Omnicom merger announcement took the entire industry by surprise. Once this crosses all the regulatory hurdles, the $35 billion deal will see the formation of the Publicis Omnicom Group. Here's Maurice Levy on the merger and his outlook for 2014.
To begin with, try and give us a sense of what is going to happen to this business in 2014.
It appears that the next year will be a good year. So I hope so. It looks like all the forecasts are aligned in the same direction, that the growth next year will be much better for almost all the countries of the world. The US seems to be strengthening. China will pick up again. India seems to have good forecasts, the same for China, for Russia, and the same for Europe. And obviously there is also the Latin American countries and Africa, which is doing extremely well. So we see that next year the growth will resume, and everyone is expecting that the worldwide growth, GDP, will be above 4%.
Right.
And with that forecast, there is the forecast of our industry, which is very good for two reasons. First, there is the amplification of the growth, which is happening next year. And second, there is the two events which are bringing more revenue. One, which is the Winter Olympic in Russia, but there is also the World Cup, FIFA World Cup, and that is very big. And on top of this, it is happening in the country of soccer or football, which is Brazil. And we expect that it will be huge, and we expect that many advertisers will take advantage of this event. So the forecast for next year on a global basis will be above 5% for our industry.
While the growth will be there, what we're seeing over the last few years in this industry is huge pressure on margins.
It's not only a problem for our industry. When you look at what's happening since roughly the end of the 80s, it's a huge pressure on cost. It's the era of procurement and the fact that a lot of industries in the world have outsourced to China, to India, and to other countries, to Eastern Europe countries, etc., their production facilities, simply because they had to deal with the cost pressure. What's happening at our clients is also impacting our business, and we have the impact on our margin. The only way to face these issues is, in fact, to first invent new approaches, new services in order to reduce our costs. Otherwise, we cannot sustain and we cannot get the margin we need to invest. The second is to innovate. And that's the reason why Publicis has been the very first to invest massively on digital in order to innovate and to bring to the clients services that they were not used to, or they were not coming from agencies. For example, we have just won a very large assignment, and the competitors in front of us were Accenture and Deloitte. So it's a new world for us, and I believe that what we need to do is to broaden our services and to bring to our client new approaches, new services, which will help them growing faster, building better their brand, and benefiting from the value that we are creating for them.
Specific to your comment on winning this account against Deloitte and so on and so forth, overall in advertising, do you think you have the talent where everybody can become a consultant or compete with the consultancy business?
I think it's starting the other way around. I think it's the consultant who believe that they have the talent to build brands.
Right.
And they are coming in our field by considering that due to the fact that they are thinking strategically about a company, they can also bring solution on what the brand should be, what the brand should stand for the consumer, and with no knowledge of the consumer. So we are not trying to go into their field, we are sticking to our field, and we are competing against them when they are trying to come into our field. We have no intention at all to become a consultant or an IT service company. We want to stick to what is our business, which is to connect brand with consumer and to make sure that the consumer are using the brand in the best possible way to the advantage of our clients. And that necessitates that we go through a whole new array of services. It's not only strategic thinking, it's not only creative, it is also today technology. So it is the alchemy of good thinking, the intelligence, the brain, creativity, which is coming from the heart most of the time, and science, technology. When you have that alchemy, you arrive to something which is quite unique and which is making the brands winning.
Right.
And that is what we are trying to do.
Right. Now, you say that you don't want to get into the consultants business. The consultants coming into your business. But isn't it a happy place to go if you go there, because the margins in the consultancy business are much higher?
That's true. But you have to do what you know, how to do it.
Right.
So we have some consulting business for some limited area, and we do it right. But we are not a consulting firm.
Right.
And we don't pretend to be what we are not. And I think that the people who believe that one day they can become a chef because they are good at eating is not working. We let them doing this, but as French people, we know a little bit about cuisine, and we believe that each one has his own specialty.
Where do you see the future panning out, the immediate future? I'm not talking about 20 years, say next 2-3 years. Where will the revenues come from? How much will come from the creative business, from the digital business, from the media business? How do you see the shifting pies?
It's a very good question, and it's shifting very fast. If you look just a few years ago, when we started the journey of digital, we had less than 1% coming from digital. We have today something like 38 or 39% of our business, which is generated by digital. Obviously, some is coming from acquisition, but a lot is coming from organic growth and the development of startups within the agency, and the fact that we have hired a lot of digital people, etc. So we see that we can shift, and it has shifted already a big deal. If we look now at the future, there is 2 or 3 things that we can be sure of. The first one is mobility. We see that mobility will grow faster. Next year, most of the growth in our industry, something like 40%, will come from mobility. Mobility is not only the telephone per se, the smartphones, but it is tablets, it is a lot of tools that we can carry and which are now part of our daily life, and we cannot separate ourselves from having everything in these small devices. The other aspect which will come to us as a massive shift is e-commerce. Right. Not only because we have to do the transaction, but also we serve the client through the line, from branding, writing the site, calling the consumer to come, and doing the transaction. The only part that we don't do is the logistic aspect, which is done by FedEx and the other company of the world.
So that's a massive change. And if the majority of the business is going to come from these areas, are the legacy network companies prepared for the change?
First, I hate to speak about past and legacy, and I hate to speak about these people are being part of the past or the legacy. I think that they are part of the communication system, and the ecosystem will always give them a share. Maybe some will have to transform their business, their education will have to be trained in order to deal with the new trend and the new sectors. And when some people will retire, we will hire people of different skills,
right.
And this is how things will happen. But it is a transformation of our industry, and we should be looking at this with eyes wide open. We have forecasted for Publicis before the merger that in 2017, 2018, 50% of our business will come from there. Obviously, 50% of our business will come from digital, what you call legacy and that I do call analog business. This business will suffer. So we need to take care of our people, we need to prepare them for the future, to educate them and to make sure that they have a future. And that is also part of the reason for the merger with Omnicom, because we are offering to our people a lot of avenues to grow, to have new career developments, etc.
Maurice Levy expects all the regulatory hurdles to be crossed by the second quarter of 2014. Let's take a quick break here. Coming up ahead, the big winners at the Envies and Amitabh Bachchan on creativity.